All right, so I hope everything is good with everybody. Um, Small group today. Yes, new place with technical difficulties. Hi from Moscow. Wow, we got people from all over the world. Fantastic. That is weird. We're getting some issues. All right, so j'attends clairement. Okay, good. So even my French friends, Mr. Les Grossman. Les Grossman, isn't that a character from a show? All right, good, good, good. So I hope everybody is well. Hello, Zahid Ali. Hi from Pakistan. Hello from Canada. I hope everything is well. Atari shirt, undeniable nerd. Yeah. Outer Limits, undeniable nerd, old show. Okay, good. Lag for a few seconds, but it's fine. Fantastic. All right, so I just updated the software and for the streaming, and of course, it introduced sound problems. What are you gonna do? I'm not sure if you remember me from my last talk about relation. Oh, we just I tended to go to places like the library, bookstore, volunteer to talk to girls. That's good. I hope it's working out for you. Fantastic. I am from Morocco, Africa. Fantastic. Wow. Yes. Morocco, one of the places. New York. Smart Wolf, tu parles français? Sûrement, je parle français. Je suis français canadien. I am French Canadian, so I do speak French. French Canadian French is a little better. Bonjour tout le monde. Michael says hello to all the world. Yes, fantastic. All right, from Egypt, Africa. Wow, fantastic. What part of Africa are you from, Muslim? New York. Hey, my neighbor's down south. I'm in Montreal, Canada, which is just north of New York City, about 6 to 8 hours drive, something like that. Long time. Hold on. Long time no see live. How's it going? I am good, Cosmo. I am pretty good. I bought a place, the move, and all the headaches involved with all that. So that took up a lot of my time. And then the season is starting with with StudioWeb in the schools. So we're setting up the schools and so on. So it's just been very busy, very busy. So I plan to get back into the live broadcast pretty soon. I am 17 years old. I am in high school and I am interested in programming. Should I start learning? Is it too late? Greetings, Macedonia. Is it too late? No. You're just starting. Fantastic time to start at 17. You know, from my point of view, 169 years old, 17 is like you're like an embryo. Just start coding, man. At perfect time. I would give away everything I have, if I could be 17 again. So you are in a very good position. PHP is rich in CMS, Moodle, WordPress, etc. This is true. This is true. That's one of the main reasons why PHP is not going to go away anytime soon, because content management systems, CMS is short for content management system for people who don't know. Moodle, WordPress, Drupal, they're all done with PHP. Hello from Romania. Cheers from New Jersey. Wow, Super Luigi, fantastic. There we go. Is C family still worth learning? I don't have anything to do. Yes, of course. C is the basis of C, C++, C Sharp, Java, JavaScript. They're all influenced and many others by C. So learning C is going to help. There's no question about that. Code that mic. Hi, Stefan. Is Drupal still used in web development? At my current internship, we use PHP and Drupal. I think it is outdated. It's still used. Obviously, you're working in a place, it's still being used. Yeah, is Drupal as popular as it was 7, 8 years ago? I don't think so. Is it going to go away? No. I think it's just going to slowly fade, perhaps because when people go into content management, they look at WordPress. And they're looking at web builders that do provide content management type of functionality. So it's still going to be there for quite a while. You just pivot if you find what you're doing is not popular anymore. Sup, Master Yoda. I mean, Stefan McLeod, over 169 years old. I mean, hello, bud. How's it going? Stefan McLeod, you are a nerd. That's a reference to Highlander, of course. I am good. How are you, Leonardo? I hope everything is well. El Salvador, fantastic. Algeria. Here we go. We'll see what this guy has to say. You program at least 2 hours a day per day, and how about someone can't stop programming like 10 hours a day? Well, if you're not into it, then do it. Just be careful you don't burn yourself out. That's what my suggestion is. No coffee, I'm sad. Well, after this live stream, I'm going to get my second coffee for the day. Where I've moved now, I'm in the core of the city. One time I'll do a stream, I'll show you all the buildings and stuff. And literally I step out my front door, there's like probably hundreds of restaurants within 5 minutes walk and tons of coffee shops. So I'm just running around doing what I do. That's drink coffee. How's it going with the setup? And did the owner of the Lambo finally wash it? Ferid Adim, I don't think this guy, the Lambo guy, is in town. Where I live is a lot of business people, and this is their pied à terre, which means their foot on the ground. That's the literal translation. It's their place for the city. So they come in, they're doing business here. They may be here a month, they may be here 2-3 weeks. They own a place here. They do their business, and then they leave, and they come back in. So one of the things I like about this place is the fact that a lot of people don't live here. 17, still an embryo, exactly. You're so lucky to be 17. Everybody else is older. Everybody, I would say 30 and up, they're probably very jealous of you at 17. So it's fantastic. And the fact that you're thinking about coding now, get away ahead of the game. So learn to code, do as I suggest, your basics, your foundations, do 1 or 2 projects, don't get caught up doing 10,000 tutorials, then go out there, do a couple freelance gigs for free. You're gonna learn so much, and then you're gonna start earning, and then you can start saving, and you can start investing, and then you could retire quite young if you choose to. What's the topic of today? The topic of today is I'm back. I just felt like doing one. I know I've been haven't been doing the live streams for a while. My topic, actually, I did have a topic of the day. The 10 most dreaded programming languages according to a survey of 65,000 developers. Now, this is from Business Insider. And so they did a survey from people on Stack Overflow. If you don't know Stack Overflow, it's a place to go to get answers to any coding questions you may have. It's kind of like, Stack Overflow. It's a voting-based, what's the word I'm looking for? A forum, if you will. Anyway, so yeah, they asked a bunch of nerds, 65,000 of them, listed their most dreaded programming languages. It's basically a popularity contest. So I'll go over a few of them here, and I'll link to the article after I put this on YouTube. R is number 10. R is used for statistical computing, graphics, data analysis. So R was number 10. Java was number 9. C++ number 8. These are the languages people dread amongst the Stack Overflow programmers. Number 7 is Ruby. That makes sense to me. Number 6 is PHP. That doesn't make sense to me. Number 5 is C. Assembly, that really makes sense to me. I had a friend of mine who was a very good assembly programmer amongst many other languages. And he kept getting hired, these high-paying jobs and gigs and contracts to do assembly coding. And he hated it. He hated it because it's really low-level stuff. When I say it's really low-level stuff, you got to program everything. You got to control how memory is used, and it's really a lot of bookkeeping. We'll just leave it at that. But it's a very, gives you a lot of power and control over what you do. Anyway, he hated it so much that he had to take it off his resume because he didn't want to get hired to do assembly. Number 3 of the most hated languages, is Perl. It's interesting. I was watching I was reading another survey, and they're saying how Perl is like, I think it was number 2 in terms of the most in demand or highest paying. Number 2 is in terms of the most dreaded languages, Objective-C. If you don't know, that's Apple's language for writing iOS and OS 10 code, but they're pushing everybody to go to Swift. And number 1 is Visual Basics for Applications, VBA. Microsoft basically created a programming language based on Visual Basic, and it's called VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. It's used in Excel and Word and other Microsoft products to automate stuff. 3/4 of Wall Street is run on VBA, by the way. Anyway, there you go. That's today's subject of the day. Again, I'll put a link, to that article below. Hey, Stef, what do you think of Udacity's Android Nanodegree? Is it worth doing? I have not done Udacity's Android Nanodegree. I don't know how much it's worth. Again, I got to put up the FAQ videos. If you want to learn how to code, you do foundations, training, and learning. Do 1 or 2 free projects, and then go out there and then you just focus on wherever you see the demand. I have to expand upon that. I'm 4 months into coding, and I'm kind of stuck. I understand the code when I see a tutorial, but when I code myself, I can do nothing, which is unmotivating. Any advice? Yeah, you're going to have to power through that. That's why I always suggest, once you do your fundamentals, you go out there and you do a couple of free jobs. Why free? Because when you're not being paid, there's less pressure on you, and the person you're doing the job for, or the small business you're doing the job for, they have less demands to be made, and you just come out and you say, listen, it's my first job, I'm doing it for free, so we're going to have to deal with it. Yeah, it could be because you have gaps in your knowledge. I'm not sure. I don't know what it could be that you have a hard time understanding the basics. You understand the code when I see a tutorial, but perhaps you haven't been taught how to actually think about designing an app, how to do basic architecture, how to tackle that. There is a process in that. I teach that in my courses, but maybe I could do like a shortened version on YouTube where, how to analyze a project and how to build it out. Although my freelance course jumps right into that, and I got a project planner, and I show you how to break down things and so on. So maybe that might be good for you as well. Thanks for the previous advice on C#. What do you think of Python for full stack? Well, I need JavaScript anyways. Thank you. You're going to need some JavaScript because on the client side, that means in the web browser, you're going to use JavaScript. So just learn foundational JavaScript. And again, need to nerd basis. I got to really put out the official video on the need to nerd strategy and philosophy so people understand that, because it's a consistent question. Hello, brothers from Uzbekistan. Fantastic, Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. Or is Uzbekistan? Yeah, sorry. Hey, guy, how are you? Fantastic. My apologies for mispronouncing there. PyTorch versus TensorFlow. Oh, don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. I'm interested in getting into programming, but I am terrible at self-accountability. Any tips? Well, the programming language will make you accountable, because if your code doesn't work, it won't run. So just do, I say, when you're just starting out, it's like training. You do just discipline. I'm going to do a minimum 20 minutes a day. And you take 2 days off a week, but do minimum 20 minutes a day. Now, some people go, 20 minutes a day, that's not enough. Trust me. Just follow my philosophy. You're going to see what happens, because when you start writing code, and if it's like painful, like, I don't want to write code, you just do that 20 minutes. Then you've done 20 minutes, you've pushed yourself forward a little bit. But oftentimes what will happen, 20 minutes will turn into half an hour, turn into 40 minutes, etc. And also, the more you expose your brain to coding, the more your brain will start restructuring itself so it understands coding. So yeah, don't worry about that. We'll see what we got here. How are we doing for time? It's only 20 minutes. Okay, good. First 10 minutes was me trying to get my mic to work. So, uh, how to deal how to deal with people like managers and CEOs that are rude, stubborn, and bad listeners. Well, they're the boss, unfortunately. You're gonna have to learn interpersonal skills. Some people are just jerks. That's why last time I had a job working for somebody, I was a bouncer, and that was it's a long time ago. And so I understand your frustration there. It's easier when you own the company. Stefan, I need to make more money. I have a dev job, but it isn't enough. Is freelancing a good option right now? I think so, man. Um, Again, set up your website, start reaching out, transition into the whole freelancing space. It is a skill. It's like any other endeavor that you jump into, any business, you got to start slowly building it up. And yeah, for sure, you could do that. Why not? From an entrepreneurial point of view, which is better, JS or PHP? Ah, depends what you want to do, depends what you want to do. You have to look at the local talent. How many PHP developers are there? How many JS developers are there? What type of projects you want to build? Some things JS might be better suited for, some things that might be PHP. There we go. Hey, if you'd get to be 16, what would you do differently? I won't talk about my dating life in that regard. But what I would do, you know, I listened to some of my older folks who gave me good advice when I was younger, but I didn't realize they were right until years later. That'd be one thing. Um, One other thing I would do is I would start saving. The earlier you can start saving and developing a habit of saving, even if it's only like $10 a week or $5 a week, it's going to serve you in such a huge way as you go down the road. I'm telling you guys, when you find yourself, there's an illusion of financial freedom that you have to have $10 million or $50 million. You don't. You start getting psychologically free when you have maybe 6 months of cash on hand to cover all your expenses. And that comes from just adjusting your lifestyle a little. And when you have 6 months and then a year and then 5 years and 10 years and 20, of cash on hand and some no risk, safe investment, then you're walking around like, free as a bird. So you don't necessarily need to be worth $10, $20 million to feel very secure in with your life. As long as you have a nice runway of capital and you continue to develop your skills and your contacts. So you have many different options in terms of work and job opportunities. So you're not dependent on a single job or a single individual. It's just like basic advice they give in investing. You want to diversify your investment portfolio. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, so you feel comfortable. So that's, I think that answers that question. Here we go. How to transition from freelancing to a small company. What are the steps to do that? Well, in a live broadcast, it's going to be difficult to give you total details, but in general, it depends what type of small company that you want. Do you want to start a freelancing? Do you want to start a development company? That's one thing. So meaning hiring people to work with you. In that situation, you would partner with people, but on a per contract basis. Don't take on a full partner. So let's say you're very strong on back end, but you're not very good with design. Well, you get a gig, you get a job with a client, you hire a designer, and they bill you and you bill your client, and you start working on the spread, right? The spread being, if they charge you whatever, they charge you $1,000 for a job, you charge, $1,500 to your client or $1,250 or whatever the market can bear. That's one way. That's one way to go to transition to small business. Another way might be, maybe you're talking about developing a SaaS, a software as a service. So that way, in that situation, you have to find an opportunity. You have to find a niche, a need in the marketplace, and you start slowly building your software. It's a gradual process. So that's pretty much what I'll say off the top of my head here. This guy, Maxim Gorky, I know this guy's a genius. Let's see. Boom Diggy Boom Boom. It's a pretty good name. Do I need to take tetanus shot? Tetanus. Yeah, tetanus shots. Tetanus shot before I start learning Rust. Very good. Very good. Very good. Alessandro Perez. I want to learn machine learning and deep learning, but it looks so challenging and hard. You have any good advice for those who are on this path? Yeah, a little bit at a time. If you're going to do machine learning, deep learning, you probably want to jump into Python. Then I think it's TensorFlow, and just start playing with it. Just start doing simple things. Simple things. How does it feel to be 169 years old? Yeah, you feel about 225 years old. Okay, here we go. Outer limits. For mobile apps, do you think straight HTML or React? HTML5 React? Well, I think for a lot of mobile applications, I think you can just go straight HTML5. I think you could just go responsive websites. It's a project per project basis, rather. You have to figure out what the needs of the project are. You may need to go React Native. You may need to go Flutter. You may have to go native iOS for iOS Swift, or Android Kotlin for the Android platform. Excuse me. But generally speaking, I default to, can this be done with responsive web design, maybe PWA. All right, perfect time to take a break from developing my own open source API development tool. There you go. I'm glad I can have. That's cool. Will there be a Stefan Miss vlog? That's very funny. It's like I'm in high school all over again. Definitely PyTorch, unless you are doing research. But how does Stef know this isn't his specialty, bro? Yeah, pretty much. I would have to look into it, and it's not my specialty. But it's a good question, and you're there, thank God, to answer that question. Fantastic. That's why we have this community. How's New York from the virus? I don't know. I'm not in New York. But that was like the epicenter of the U.S., New York City. Lamborghini or Ferrari? 100% Ferrari. Yo, Stefan, for the starting 17-year-old kid starting to code, why don't you suggest a good language? Why not Ruby? Yeah, exactly. Okay, how do I ban this guy? No, just kidding. Should I become a Django developer? Will the amount of jobs grow for it, or not really relevant in web development? It's not really relevant. I think it's going to stick around simply because there's a huge amount of Python developers. Now they're going into Python for mostly AI and data sciences, but that tells me that that's going to bleed and cause more people to do to use Python for web development and other things. So it's not going anywhere, I don't think. I think it's pretty stable. 21, already old for coding. No. If you're like under 40, it's like a no-brainer. If you're over 40, it's really a no-brainer because, you start coding pretty quickly. You're making very good money. Why not do it, What's this guy say? I am 14. I can program pretty confidently. What do you think is the average age of people starting programming? I don't know. It's changing a lot. In the last several years, there's been this awakening that learning to code is a good thing. So it's getting younger and younger and younger. The key is to stick with it and then to learn how to monetize it. Back when I was learning how to code, 150 years ago, nobody was coding except for super hardcore nerds. Hey, hi, Collie. Welcome back, live from Montreal. It's Stefan. There you go. Wow, Nepal. I'm from Nepal. There is no market for game development here. No companies. I really want to do game dev, so I'm learning now. How can I get a job? Should I move abroad? Please suggest. Well, you might try remote work. I'm not sure how many game dev jobs there are really, so in general, but I'm not surprised. You got to follow the money. You got to go where the demand is. Do you have super chat enabled? I do have it, but I never enabled it. I'm not one to take donations like that. I appreciate it though. Maybe I should. You guys could buy me a coffee. When I was 17, I was learning DBase and Fortran. So this guy's nearly as old as me. Then started with Java, but with terrible teachers. So I got frustrated and kind of quit. I was studying electronic engineering. Now I am coming back. Welcome back. Yeah, it's a lot of it is bad teachers, man. Yeah, a lot of it is just bad teachers. Programming, if taught properly, is not that difficult, but it's good. Lots of bad teachers means a lot of people get bad teaching and then they give up on programming. It keeps the value of programming high. All the PHP hate is ridiculous. I would agree. I would agree. Facebook, anybody written PHP? You know? As a psychology teacher, what would you suggest for OCD guy? Well, I'm not a psychology teacher, although my major in university was psychology. But I didn't graduate because I had to choose between my school or my business, so I went with the business. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Um, Step by step, you got to slowly habituate yourself to a new habit. Um, I guess we can say that. So, what that means is that if you got to slowly and consciously say, okay, I'm not going to do this. You're gonna just refrain from you know, doing any of your compulsive behaviors. So hold on a second. Once again, in the professional stream, my keyboard's about to go here. So give me a second. I gotta get some power here. Yep. Yep. Any other questions? Hold on. Gotta, I gotta get a power cable into my. Yeah. One moment, guys. Keyboard's dying. All right. I'll be with you in 10 seconds. EJ. You don't do something for a few weeks and all hell breaks loose. Yes. All right. Just gotta power my keyboard. Otherwise, I can't type. All right. All right, there we go. We're back on. All right. So, any other questions? Been 30 minutes. I think that's long enough. Let's get this thing over. I'll answer 2 or 3 more questions, then I'm out of here. It's coffee time. Where is Delphi? I think it's still being used. What if you're 40? Why not? I've had people learn much older. Let's say you're 40 years old. Let's say you're 50 years old. And you're thinking, I want to learn how to code. Is it too old? You go, well, we know that if you code, you have a lot more freedom, you make a lot more money. It just can help in anything that you do. So you think to yourself, okay, I'm 40, am I too old? Or am I 50, am I too old? So if you do get proper training within a short period of time, it could be months, maybe if you really take a slow year, you're starting to make money as a coder. But then you're there, right? And then you got years and years and years of high productivity ahead of you, right? I remember, as an extreme example of my philosophy about this, I remember years and years ago, I had a couple of friends who had no skills. They made the mistake of not developing skills, and they had just like, they had no skills. And they were in, I think, their 30s at this point, early 30s, mid 30s, no skills of a 16-year-old typical person. All they could do was, McDonald's work and stuff. And that's fine if you need to do it, but, so what I said to them, I said, why don't you learn to code or maybe become an electrician or something? And they said, oh, I don't want to spend 2-3 years doing that. I said, well, you're crazy. You spend 3 years becoming an electrician and you're going to make 3, 4, 5 times your money, have a lot better job security, a lot better lifestyle. It's kind of worth it, right? To spend a couple of years just, to develop some skill. Fortunately, with coding, it's even a lot faster. So I hope that makes sense. What's your opinion on automated testing? I think it's very important. I say I introduce that more and more when you have solid code base where the code is pretty much where you want it to be. So you start putting in your unit testing and so on to protect it, if you will, but not in the initial stages of development. because it just changes too much. What do you think of no code, low code development? Well, that's like something people have been trying to do for years, and it has limited use, because if you go outside of the limitations of the structure that they provided for you, then the no code or the low code development tool, then things start to break. But it can have its use in certain areas. All right, last few questions, and I'm out of here. I'm here with using VPN, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, our filter. Also, I can't join non-free courses because PayPal and others don't support. Anyway, you have followers here in Tehran. Fantastic. I hope everything clears up for you in Tehran. That's a shame. Freedom of information and speech is the most fundamental freedom that the world deserves. Yeah, let me know if you want to learn how to code and you can't get access, to send me an email. Hi, Stefan. Developing desktop app or mobile, which one is better now? That's a good question. I would guess mobile, but that's difficult. There's so many mobile apps. You don't think in terms of technology. If you can, think in terms of market viability. And then do your research locally or where you want to work, and then you can choose where you want to work, what stack you want to work on, whether you want to do mobile or etc. Depending, web is still king now. If a 169-year-old guy can code, anyone can code. Exactly. I'm still able to hit those keys with my bony fingers. Jonathan says, "Hello, Stefan. I've been a full stack programmer for 5 years. I bought your complete freelancer course 2-3 weeks ago, and I watched it all at once. I finally understood what I was doing wrong." Hey, thanks for letting me know. I'm glad I could help out. Fantastic. I already have a company, and I am restructuring everything with what I learned from you. The templates helped a lot, and the payment of 33%, 3x is really key to success. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could help, and keep me in the loop how that goes, how everything goes. All right, we'll wrap this up. What microphone are you using? This is the Electro Voice RE27. Electro Voice RE27. It's a broadcaster mic. It's very famous. It's based on a much more famous one, the RE20. I had both. I like this one better because it's a little bit brighter. But it's great. It's very fault tolerant. You don't have to be a mic expert to use it. I am 15 and learn JavaScript and Angular. Can you give me some suggestions? What kind of projects should be best for me? I assume that you're pretty comfortable with the web stack. Can you build a website from start to finish? Can you implement a shopping cart? Can you do that kind of stuff? If you can, then I would go out and try and get some little jobs, like maybe some family members or something, or for free. Just because you learn so much from actually building real things. And I got this from my martial arts and my boxing days. When I wanted to learn how to fight, I would just jump in a ring and I would fight. There's nothing like fighting to help you learn how to fight. Nothing like coding for real to help you learn how to code. Which city is best in Canada for tech jobs? That's a good question. I don't know. I think they're all pretty good. Montreal is like a hub for AI. Like Facebook is here, Google is here. Like within a block from where I am right now, there's Microsoft, there's EA Games, there's Google. Who else is here? There's a few others as well. Up the street from me, there's Ubisoft, Facebook. Toronto is also huge as well. Stefan, as a freelancer, do you have big corporate clients? If so, how do you deal with them? Are they demanding? Well, I'm not a freelancer anymore. I did it for years. I do several things. My main thing in the tech is StudioWeb. It's a SaaS that end users use, but also I have a lot of schools who use StudioWeb as well. But I have done freelance for big clients. A problem with big clients is that they can be extremely demanding, number one. Typically, big companies don't work with small companies, Because when people work at big companies, the last thing they want is something to mess up. So if they hire a small freelancer and you mess up, they're in trouble. But if they hire a firm that has a pool of talent that they can hire out, then they're more secure. So chances are uh, you won't land the big, huge client projects because most of the time they're not going to want to work with a small individual freelancer unless you got some really specialized knowledge. But they will do sometimes, and I'll leave you with this, big companies will, they have a process, right, in getting a gig, getting a quote. So they have to, by edict of the business, they have to get 5 quotes. So what they'll do is they'll call up a bunch of small companies to get 5 quotes, and they have no intentions of hiring the small company, but they just want to mine you for information, and they want to have other quotes so they can bring it to some of the bigger companies, the companies they want to give the contract to, and use the other quotes as a point of negotiation. And finally, they will go out and talk to a bunch of small vendors because they want to show their bosses, look, I talked to all these vendors, here we go. We should go with this guy, which was the guy they were going to go with originally. So there you go. So generally speaking, when you're first starting out, one of the big new mistake is to have this dream of having the giant big client. You're much better off to have many small clients because then they don't own you. But if you work for 1 or 2 big clients, they'll know if you actually get those gigs, you can. But if you get those gigs, they'll know that they own you and they can start throwing their weight around. So I hope that helps. All right, guys, 40 minutes in, it's enough. I'm getting dry mouth here, and it's a beautiful day, so I'm going to go out and get some sun, vitamin D. All right, we'll talk soon. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm going to have to figure this one out on my own time. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.